You're listening to the Journey Podcast, a ministry of Southcrest Baptist Church. We're here to know the Word, love the Word, and live the Word. Let's take a joyous journey through the Word.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Journey podcast, the podcast.
We can call it whatever we want.
Yeah.
Because it's our
It's our
podcast.
I'm sad that I missed out on the Tony Couch last week, but it's all right. I was out of 10, so y'all had fun.
It was a good time. Tate did. He was great. He's a great addition. But we're glad you're back in your rightful seat.
Glad to be back. Get out of here, Tate.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love Tate.
Tate's a good dude. Tate the Great.
Tate's great.
Yeah. I call him Tater Tot. Yeah. That's my nickname for him. I don't know if he'll appreciate that that's on the podcast now.
This whole episode is going to be about Tate.
Yep. How was your summer?
It was great.
Yeah.
And it was busy, but it was really good. It was a lot of fun. So,
what was your favorite part of the summer?
family camp with the Duns. It was so good.
That was a good time. Yeah.
It was.
Family camp was great. Glorieta, New Mexico, in the mountains. Weather was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man, yeah. It was so beautiful out there. Got a little chilly on some of those nights even though.
It did, yeah. But
it was really nice. What about you? What was your favorite part of the summit?
I think, honestly, probably family camp. Yeah. Family camp was great. It was our first time, and it was, our kids loved it. It was just a great opportunity to be together. So
I really enjoyed it.
Now that we've lost half our listeners,
come on back, y'all. It's not actually about Tate. That actually may disappoint a lot.
Or family camp.
Yeah. There may be some people disappointed that really wanted to hear a whole episode about Tater Tot.
Yeah, about taters.
But no, we're going to talk about the Bible.
The Bible. Just to kind of remind us what we're doing with our podcast this year, you have a reading plan that you are going through as the Journey students. And you're going to come across a passage in your reading plan, typically, especially in the Old Testament, but passage in your reading plan that maybe is a little obscure, maybe is a little weird. And our hope is to maybe take one of those passages that you're going to come across and just talk about it, ask questions, maybe questions that you might have. And hopefully you'll leave kind of I think two things, either understanding it more or leaving more confused.
Maybe.
So, like today, I think today's one of those passages that we're going to talk about that you might leave more confused.
Yeah.
Because it's odd.
Yeah. If I could add to that,
yeah.
I should also, with this edition, say, y'all have heard me talk about it on the podcast before. I've been really into the Bible study that I've been doing recently called Bema with Marty Solomon. And so I'm going to reference some stuff that he talks about. Like right now, the thing that I wanted to add is that they talk a lot in this Bema Bible study that I'm doing about just asking questions. And so just to emphasize the point that Tyler's making about, hey, there may be some questions that we bring up that we don't give you perfect answers to. And I hope that what that drives everyone to do that listens to this podcast is to dig through their Bibles more, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the cool thing that Bama's been doing for me, that this kind of process of just going, all right, hey, I'm going to open up the Word, and I'm not going to be afraid of questions. That's what it's kind of stirred up in my Bible reading time is more investigations.
Yeah.
And it's really been fun. And I think God's used that time, at least for me personally, just letting myself ask questions. So,
and that goes into kind of what we talked about last week, like learning to read the Bible from different lenses. Man, if you can do that, especially Tate asked the question, okay, all of these lenses, which one should I start with? And I think I mentioned, man, if you can learn to read the Bible from a non-Westernized cultural lens, which is really hard to do because it's hard to you can't just set aside your culture or lens. It's there, right? You're gonna read the Bible from that. But if you can then bring in the lens of this is the culture that it was written to, man, it'll make the Bible come alive. It will make you see things that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so cool about doing it that way. So
Let's get it.
what, sorry, I have a Band-Aid. Did you see that?
Yeah, what happened to your finger?
I'm gonna just cut it. Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about today? What's the passage?
We're going to go to Genesis chapter 9.
In Genesis 9.
18, we're doing through 28 or through the chapter?
I think, well, let's do through the end of the chapter because this is a chapter that you're going to read in your reading plan this week, or that you've already read, and maybe like as you come across it, you're kind of like, what in the world do I do with this? And so I think what we want to do is we want to just start by reading it first. So Maddox, what if you read it?
I can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, here we go. Starting in verse 18. Noah's sons who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were Noah's sons, and from them the whole earth was populated. Noah, as a man of the soil, began by planting a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, became drunk, and uncovered himself inside his tent. Oh boy, already a bunch of questions, okay? Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a cloak and placed it over both their shoulders, and walking backward, they covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father naked. 24. When Noah awoke from his drinking and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, Canaan is cursed. He will be the lowest of slaves to his brothers. He also said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave. Let God extend Japheth. Let Japheth dwell in the tents of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave. Now Noah lived 350 years after the flood, so Noah's life lasted 950 years. Then he died. Woo!
Yeah. I think a quick word, like some of the, like, this maybe is going to have like a PG, maybe PG-13 rating to it as we talk about this story. The Bible is very raw.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sugarcoat things, especially when you start to, like we said, read it from a cultural perspective that's not your own. And so a lot of things that we're going to read today maybe seem on the surface like pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But for them would have meant something different. So I think, like, just a word of warning, like, we're going to talk about some things that may be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As you read this, like, what's interesting to me is you have this story that kind of just comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yeah, what happened before this?
So right before this, you've got Noah and his family on the ark, and God has flooded the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, but there's one righteous family, like one righteous man, Noah. And so he saves Noah and his family to then, like, continue to repopulate the earth once the flood waters recede, right? And so right before this, Noah is coming out of the ark. He is given this covenant with God, right? Like the rainbow in the sky. Noah builds an altar to the Lord. And so, like, a really beautiful moment, like,
which I really want to talk about that.
Yes,
for a different podcast. Yeah. So I really want to talk about that.
Like
the bow.
Yes. Yeah. Reestablishing the covenant that God has with his people. And so, and then just out of nowhere, you've got this weird story about Noah, nakedness, Ham seeing it, and something happens inside the tent, and Noah wakes up and curses his grandson. Yeah. Ham's son curses his grandson.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the first things, just because it's in the first verse of the block that we read today, the passage of scripture we read today, is that there is this focus on Canaan, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about his sons, but why? I mean, we didn't hear about Shem or Japheth's sons. We specifically are Ham was the father of Canaan, right? It's
Yeah.
like Canaan is important in the story, it seems, right?
Yep. Yeah. So to back up a little bit, a lot of what you see in the story of Noah is a parallel to the creation story. Okay, so read the story of Noah, the flood, and what happens here in kind of line with the creation story. And you'll see, like, you have Adam and Eve in the creation story, placed in a garden, and God tells them, hey, you can do anything you want, but don't eat of this fruit in this one tree, right? You've got Noah, who comes out of the ark into a garden, essentially, when he plants the vineyard into a garden, and he does what? He eats of the fruit. He drinks the wine. And this isn't saying that wine is bad or anything like that, but again, there's a parallel here, but consequences come from that. Like, he gets drunk. And so there's a lot of parallels to the creation story in Noah's life. I don't know. It's really interesting. But yeah, so he starts and says, Noah's 3 sons were with him, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham was the father of Canaan. And you see that kind of over and over, and it's like Ham,
22,
and then Canaan, Ham, and then Canaan, Ham, and then Canaan, right? But what else? What other questions do you have as you
I
read
just
through?
thought about it as you were talking about the vineyard and drunkenness. It's like this covers a lot of time. Right. Like, and I remember from my Bema study on this, them talking about this too, that it's just interesting to note that, well, two things. One, the more kind of serious point of like, wow, he planted a vineyard. It would have taken years for the vineyard to get established, just like to produce grapes even, right? Like a good grapes. And then like making wine is a process too. And so that's just interesting. Like that this is like, it's just a few verses, but I mean, really, it's like 2 verses that cover what would have to be quite a bit of time, actually, quite a few years. And then another just kind of funny, interesting thing that I noticed is, man, it did not take him long to figure out how grapes could be used.
Yeah,
right?
No, for sure.
Like, he makes wine day 1. I guess it's not day 1, because we're talking about how it's multiple time, and he's drunk, right? Like, that's just interesting.
Well, and there's a principle that you see, and I think Marty talks about this in his book that I read, but he calls it like the principle of first mention.
Yes, okay.
And so this is the first time that vineyard is ever mentioned in the Bible. And what he says, and this isn't always the case, but usually the case, anytime you come across a word, go back to the very first time that it is mentioned in the Bible. And that's what it's like. That's kind of the meaning of the word.
Yeah. Like I've heard him talk about love. Like the first occurrence of love is Abraham and Isaac, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And so, like, the word vineyard here has some like negative connotations to it attached to it. And so we see that. But I think that's really, really interesting. So it says that he drank some of the wine, became drunk, uncovered himself in his tent. Okay.
What does that mean?
Good. Like, he got naked, right? Like, I think he was so drunk that he was like, I'm taking my clothes off. At least he did it inside his tent. Like, he didn't do it outside his tent. And then verse 22 says, Ham, the father of Canaan,
here we go again,
saw his father naked and told his brothers outside. Okay, so I want to focus in on that phrase, saw his father naked. Because on the surface, like when we read that, we just kind of assume like Ham went into the tent, saw his father naked, left the tent, and went and told his brothers, hey, dad's naked, don't go in. Right? Like,
but there's some idioms that we're seeing, right?
Yeah, this is in the Hebrew, this is a Hebrew idiom. And really, there's 2 meanings that this phrase, saw his father naked, or perceived his nakedness. The first one has to do with molestation. So, like, did something like that happen in this moment? I don't think so. And I'll
There's
explain.
something similar
Yeah,
to it, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll explain why in just a second. The other meaning involves castration. Okay, which is pretty like brutal, right? Like when you read this, it kind of changes everything that you think about this story. Like if you read it from that context where it says Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked, essentially what it's saying is he went into the tent, saw his father naked, and castrated him.
Yeah.
Now, why do I think that that's what takes place here? Again, if you're following along with the story and you realize, hey, there's a lot of parallels to the creation narrative. If you go back to the creation story, there's this really like interesting part in the creation story where it talks about 4 rivers in the Garden of Eden, right? Let me see if I can find it. I think it's like a river went out from Eden to water the garden. From there it is, and this is Genesis 2. From there it divided and became the source of 4 rivers. The name of the first is the Pishon, which flows through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. Gold from that land is pure. Bdellium and onyx are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon, which flows through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris, which runs east of Assyria. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. So you have this like interesting part of the story where like these rivers just kind of appear out of nowhere, like these 4 rivers. So in our story, how many sons does Noah have?
3.
3.
And Ham's son was Canaan.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has 3 sons. Well, right before this, when Noah comes out of the ark, God tells Noah, like one of his commands to Noah is, I want you to be fruitful and multiply.
Yep.
Right? Which, if you go back to the creation story, like what did God tell Adam and Eve?
That's right.
Like be fruitful and multiply, right? Like that's what he told them. So God's essentially commanding Noah, like, continue this. Well, what does Ham do? Ham goes into Noah's tent, and it says he perceives his father's nakedness, or he saw the nakedness of his father. Again, this is an idiom in the Hebrew. So I believe that it means that he went in and castrated his father. And it says that Noah woke up and saw what had been done. Like he woke up from his drunken stupor and saw what had been done, right? One of the ways in the Hebrew that you kind of describe your family, you can describe it through like family trees, like olive trees, and branches that come out of the olive trees, or rivers, and like what's the like the T word? Tributaries?
Tributaries.
Is that it? I'm pretty sure that's it.
I don't know.
Like tributaries that flow from a river.
Yeah. Okay.
So like they kind of break off of the river. So this is like one of the ways they describe family trees. And so this is how it kind of connects to Noah, like the rivers in Genesis. So you've got his 3 sons here. God's told him, be fruitful and multiply. Ham goes into the tent, does this to Noah. Noah's no longer able to do what God commanded him to do. And so this is why he comes out and essentially curses Ham's son, his grandson, and says, cursed is Canaan, like your grandson, because of what you've done to me, because I can no longer do what God has commanded me to do.
Yeah. Before we dig any further, right? Like I there are a couple things I want to say. Like, right, like another idiom there, right? I mean, we talked about this morning a little bit. It's like, right, Adam knew Eve, right? So like he like uncovering nakedness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another idiom that we could pull from that would be maybe sleeping with his wife, right? Which I agree with you. Like, I think that it's castration. But even if it, because I know there's like, and I like looked it up a little bit more after we talked this morning, and I think there's actually quite a few teachers that I've seen that they really think that that's what happened, is that Ham knew he uncovered his father's nakedness. He knew his father's wife. But either, and it's right, what they would teach is that Canaan is right? Like,
Yeah.
that's Canaan, right? And which it doesn't really matter, right? Because either way, the river thing still like it actually works and makes a lot of sense, right? But the reason I agree with you, right, which I think this goes back to like the way we're reading this culturally, right, is that something that Marty Solomon talks about is, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but it's midrash or midrash.
Yeah, midrash.
Midrash. Okay, yeah, which is like ancient. And you jump in if I would say anything wrong here, but like ancient Jewish commentary.
Yeah, it's commentary on an ancient commentary on the Old Testament scriptures.
Yeah. And in that, like they don't ever go to the knew his father's wife perspective. They go to the castration pretty quickly, I think. Yeah. Is what Marty has, I've seen him teach.
Yeah.
And so I completely agree with you there. But something I just wanted to make a point before you dig any further is that there's a lot of other questions that we could get distracted by. Yeah. I think on when I think that you're right on point, and again from the midrash, so it's like, yeah, I think we're like focusing on the right question. Yeah. But there's other things that we could get distracted by, like why, right? Okay, so if it is, 'cause, right, the story about sleeping with this other's wife maybe makes a little sense. Like he's drunk, he's not paying it, he's out of it clearly. He covers himself, lays in his tent, and so he has no way of even knowing what's going on. He's really out of it. And one of the questions that comes to mind about castration, I'm like, how does he not wake up? Right? Yeah. Yeah. And but I think is actually a little bit of a distraction. But still, like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, I think it's okay for us to go to ask that question. Right. Like I don't want to derail us. No, to me that's like such a glaring, like, how was he castrated? And right? Like Faith's laughing over there. Yeah. Like, for real though, how does that happen and you don't wake up? Yeah.
I mean, I think that there are moments when people have been so drunk, right? Like that, one, they don't remember anything, and they are so sedated that it's not until after the fact that they realize something bad has happened, right? Like whether it's an injury or something like that. And so like I could see that maybe playing out in this story.
He is so drunk.
Yeah,
he doesn't even know. Yeah.
And there are a ton of other questions.
We could dig through
as you read through this story.
And I think I just like emphasizing that. Right. Because I, like I said, again, would really want people to get to experience what I've been experiencing recently in this Bible study of like, hey, it's your turn to dig into that question. Right. So,
yeah. But I think what I maybe want to end on. Remember, Noah is in Genesis, Genesis 6. It says Noah found favor with the Lord, right? Like before the flood gets here, before all of that, God looks at Noah and it says Noah found favor with the Lord. And then you read this story in Genesis 9, and I think we're left still going, man, like the world is still screwed up. Like everything is still messed up. Like even though God like did all of this, like there has to be something else has to happen, right? And I think that's ultimately what we're left with when we read this is going like we need something better than this. Noah found favor with the Lord, but he is still a really screwed up human being. And so I think it leaves you with that question of like, what is it? What does God have in plan to make all of this right?
Dude, before we close, just because you're saying that, I want so bad to talk about the beginning of chapter 9. Yeah. Quick, just one thing about the beginning of chapter 9, just based on what you're saying. Something that I learned when I was going through this passage this year that was so cool is about the rainbow and about
bow and arrow.
Yeah, the bow and arrow, right? Yep. And how, right, like the cool thing about the bow that I just never thought of before studying it with Marty, right, is that it's this did we talk about this the suzerain covenant and stuff like that? We talked about that at one point. I can't remember. Maybe we have talked about the podcast before, but they the bow is literally like this image of a bow, right? Like a bow and arrow, like you said, that's pointed at someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, but who is the bow pointed at? It's pointed up, right? It's like pointed at God is what Marty would talk about. And so the covenant, right? The covenant that he's made with Noah is so interesting, right? Because the covenant, the responsible party in the covenant is God.
Mm-hmm.
Is the interesting thing about the bow that Marty points out. That I think is so cool. And so I look like where you were going with that. I was like, oh, I want to talk about the bow really quick. Right? Yeah. Because it's like, how is he going to fix this problem that sin and brokenness is just continuing on through the story, right? Like he just like did a hard reset with the flood, and then the very next story is he planted fruit and got drunk, and the ham did something terrible, and there's a big curse. It's like immediately we're back to the sin cycle. Yeah. But the bow is pointed to God. Yeah. Which is pretty stinking cool.
Yep. Man, ask good questions. Like as you read the Bible, I think that's one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is just ask good questions. The Bible is full of stories like this where you may have a lot of questions and you may never really have answers to these questions, but continue to ask questions. Yeah. But yeah,
don't be afraid of them. Right? Yeah, just don't be afraid. I think in our culture, and me growing up personally, maybe this is a lot of you listening, we'd get like scared of questions, right? Scared of not having an answer, you know?
Yep.
And so it really just has been so transformative for me in my Bible reading to do what you're saying and what we're saying and just go, I don't know. Yeah. This is actually a really good question. You know, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But gosh, when God provides an answer, when he provides an answer to these big questions, every time it's like for me, every time I'm like, no way, that's so cool. And so, let the questions hang, you know, like let them hang and be okay with it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's good. Well, we love you guys, and can't wait to do this again.
Oh yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah,
it's so fun.
Well, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. You are sent.